Welcome to Lecture 2.8, Addition and Subtraction with Mixed Numbers. Now, just like fractions, there are some steps that we need to take when we work with mixed numbers regarding the same denominator. If it's same denominator, the problem becomes much easier than when we have to find the lowest common denominator and proceed from there. So let's look at method 1 into solving addition with mixed numbers. The first method is you add the whole numbers and then you add the fractions separately and then you combine all of it. For example, 3 and 2/3 plus 4 and 1/5. So 3 and 2/3 can be written as 3 plus 2/3. 4 and 1/5 can be written as 4 plus 1/5. Now if I add everything together, 3 plus 2/3 plus 4 plus 1/5, I'm going to combine the whole numbers. I'm going to combine the fractions. Well, 3 plus 4 is just 7, and I'm done with the whole number for now. But now I have to add my fraction. The lowest common divisor is, the lowest common denominator is 15. So I'm going to rewrite both of my fractions with the denominator as 15. What I do to the denominator, I must do to the numerator. So 3 times 5 will give me 15. So I must multiply the numerator by 5. 5 times 3 will get me 15, therefore I must multiply the numerator by 3. That gives me 7 plus 10/15 plus 3/15. Well, now I can just add those fractions together, and I get 7 plus 3/15. And finally, I'm going to write it as a mixed number, 7 and 13/15. Let's try another example, and I'll work it out with you this time. So the same procedure. I'm going to break the numbers apart. 5 and 3/4 equals 5 plus 3/4. 9 and 5/6 equals 9 plus 5/6. Now that gives me 5 plus 3/4 plus 9 plus 5/6. Okay. I'm going to group my like terms. I have whole numbers and I have fractions, so I'm going to group them together. 3/4 plus 5/6. Okay. I just gave myself enough room to find the lowest common divisor. Lowest common denominator. Yes, I can say that. Lowest common denominator. 4 is 2 times 2. 6 is 2 times 3. So my LCD is going to equal 2 squared times 3, and that equals 12. Okay. Therefore, I need to multiply 4, the denominator by 3, and the numerator by 3. Likewise, 4, 5, 6, the lowest common denominator is 12, so I need to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. This will have 14 plus 19 over 12. But 19 over 12 is an improper fraction. So, off to the side, I need to figure out what my improper fraction would be. 12 goes into 19 one time with a remainder of 7, so it is 7/12. Okay. So my problem becomes 14 plus 1 and 7/12. But I can rewrite 7/12. 14 plus 1 plus 7/12, giving me a total of 14 plus 1 is 15 plus 7/12, which will be 15 and 7/12. Okay. So let's do another example, 5 2/3 plus 6 8/9. This time I'm going to find the common divisor, the common denominator, and just add vertically. I'm going to add the fractions and the whole numbers vertically. So if I do that, I only need to change the 2/3 to a 6/9. 5 plus 6 is 11. 6 plus 8 is 14, and then we keep the denominator of a 9. But now I have to change the 14/9 into a mixed number, which is 1 5/9. So 11 plus 1 5/9 is 12 5/9. Now a second way to solve the addition problems or the subtraction problems of mixed number is to immediately change the fraction into improper fraction. For example, we have 3 1/4 plus 2 3/5 plus 1 9/10. I'm going to immediately change each one of these into an improper fraction using the same method that we have. From there, I'm going to find the LCD, which in this case 4, 5, and 10 is an LCD of 20. Therefore, my new fractions are 65/20, 52/20, 38/20, and I'm going to add all of the numerators. 65 plus 52 plus 38 is 155 all over 20. Now that I have my new fraction, 155 over 20, I do have to change it back to a mixed number. So divide 20 into 155 goes 7 times. So 155 minus 40 is 15. So it is 7 with a remainder of 15 over 20, but I can reduce 15 over 20 to 7 3/4. The situation of the problem will dictate which method you want to use. Either keep them as mixed numbers or change them over to fractions. Subtraction has the same method, except this time we're subtracting instead of adding. So I'm going to break each of my mixed numbers into the whole number plus their fraction. And in this case, when it's subtraction, it is subtraction of the whole number, as in, not as in the whole number, as in 1 3/10, the entire number. Because of that, when I break it apart into its pieces, I have to distribute the negative to each component. Right? So negative times 1 is -1. Negative times plus 3/10 is -3/10. So my new problem is 3 plus 9/10 minus 1 minus 3/10. Combine like terms. 3 minus 1 plus 9/10 minus 3/10. Okay, why is it plus? Because there is a plus for the 9/10, so I gave it to the 9/10. Combine like terms. 3 minus 1 is 2. 9/10 minus 3/10 is 6/10. But I can reduce the 6/10 to 3/5. Now I have 2 plus 3/5, and that solution is 3 3/5. Subtraction can be a little awkward, so let's try one more problem together. So 10 minus 5 2/7. 10, well, since I'm going to do subtraction, think of it as borrowing. I'm going to borrow a whole entire 1 from the 10. If I borrow a 1, that will be 7 over 7. And that will leave me 9 with 7/7. 9 plus 7/7. Remember, 7/7 is 1, and 9 plus 1 is indeed, goes back to our 10. But because I have a whole number and I have a fraction, I know I'm going to need to borrow to handle the fraction portion. So I'm going to rewrite 10 as 9 plus 7/7. Now again, with the minus 5 2/7, I need to distribute the minus to the 5 as well, pardon me, the 5 as well as the 2/7. So negative implied 1. Negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. Negative 1 times 2/7 is negative 2/7. Rewrite my problem so it's nice and clear to me what I'm doing here. Group my whole numbers and my fractions. Now I do the math. 9 minus 5 is 4. 7/7 minus 2/7 is 5/7. Therefore, my final solution is 4 and 5/7. Here's a new problem that I want you to take a look at, because when my fraction of my first number is smaller than the fraction of my second number, I need to borrow. So we're going to do that nice trick of borrowing from the 8 and giving it to the 1/4. This time, to borrow 1, it's going to be 4 over 4. So if I borrow 1, 8 becomes a 7, and I add the 4 over 4 to the 1/4. So let me just show you this. 8/4, if I borrow 1, is going to be 7 plus 4/4 plus 1/4. Okay. 7 plus 4 plus 1 is 5 all over 4. Okay, so I borrowed 1 from the 8 to give to my fraction in anticipation of doing subtraction. So this time I'm going to keep all my numbers together. Okay. I'm going to subtract my fractions and subtract my whole numbers, just like an old style fashion number on top of number subtraction. So 5/4 minus 3/4, 2/4. 7 minus 3 is 4. Therefore, my final answer, 4.5. Now, whichever method you like better, where it's lined up vertically or that it's lined up horizontally and you group them, that's up to you. But ultimately, you do need to recognize when you need to borrow, when you don't, when you need to find common denominator, and when you don't. Let's try another problem. With 4 and 3/4 minus 1 and 5/6, I don't know if I need to borrow. They don't have the same denominator, so it's a little difficult to see. So I'm not going to break up my numbers into whole numbers and fractions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change it into an improper fraction now. And then changing it from an improper fraction, I'm going to find the LCD. I'm going to combine them and change it back into a mixed number. I think personally that's the easiest thing when it comes to fractions without a common denominator. So my first fraction is going to be 4 times 4 plus 3. So it's going to be 19/4. My second fraction is going to be 6 times 1 plus 5, 11 over 6. Okay. Now that I have my 11/6, my LCD is 12. So I'm going to multiply my first fraction. 4 to get to 12 is 3, so 4 times 3 is 12. 19 times 3 is 57. 6 times 2 will get me to 12, so 6 times 2 is 12. 11 times 2 is 22. Because I changed it to improper fractions, I can see, and found the LCD, I can see that the first mixed number was actually the larger one. So I'm okay, I don't have to borrow yet. I don't have to borrow for this problem. 57 minus 22 is 35, all over 12. But I do need to change it back to a mixed number because that's what I started with. 12 gets into 35 2 times. 35 minus 24 is 11. So it's 2 and 11/12. So I hope you learned something new in this video. So until next time, be seeing you.